Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are at the next topic of our calculation training and we have got a different theme today, but we are going to use the same techniques of calculation and see how or whether we are able to solve these positions quickly. So we have got three positions once again. This is the first one, white to play and win. Black's last move was see knight e4. The knight attacks the bishop on g3 and it looks like white is compelled to move his bishop. But there are some other options as well. We can see white's strength in his doubled but passed a pawns, see, which are trying to promote to queen over here. So white has three candidate moves here. He can go with the move a6, one of the very obvious ones, and be1 suggested by many, and king d5, very interesting looking move because it will dislodge the knight on e4. Knight into g3 will be almost forced and white can look to play a6. That is one of the main ideas. Problem with instant a6 is that after a6 there could be either bb6 check first. See, when after kd5 knight g3, it's not that easy to prove the advantage because see a7, bishop a7, knight a7, there is the move knight e2. See, the threat is knight going to c3, which will attack a2 and d5, and the pawn on f4 is also hanging. So white will lose his extra pawn and maybe it's not winning. So white saw into the move kd5, where he noticed that the major difference is after kd5 ng3 a6, this is what he imagined. See, king d5, knight g3, a6, there is no bb6 with check, so only move bb6 stopping the advance a7. Now see, white wants to use the a pawns. Here white saw the move a4. See, really good move. a7 is similar, takes and knight e2 makes white's task very difficult. So after a4 here, see, the bishop is now running pillar to post. Firstly, the threat is a5. Okay, when the bishop will be pushed away and white uses some technique here, we will see what. I felt the main move was knight f5. After knight f5, see, the major threat is knight e7 and white will go a5. Now if knight e7, see, knight takes knight followed by a takes b6. So white would be winning, and if bishop moves away to f2, then there is just a7. Do note that g4 ne7 makes task more difficult. After kd6 there is nc8 check or even knight c6. The bishop is guarding a7, but this time a7, ba7, knight a7 is much simpler. After ne7 check, the king can be put to c5 and the a pawn will advance. The square diagonally, see, one step away from the knight is a great place for the king. In the game, black played here king e8, after which white just went a4, bishop f2, and after bf2, white had of course seen the move nd4. Now see, there is no need to play a7. We see that the bishop is blocked now. If bd4, then kd4, and after nf5 check, the king goes to c5. The fourth square from the knight is an ideal place. See, counting from the knight, we must see. So see the squares f5, e5, d5 and c5. So this is the fourth one which doesn't let the knight go near the king, and the pawn, see, promotes to knight e7, there is a7. So here actually black resigned, and if you look at the move kd7, you will note that a7 and the a pawn promotes here too. So white won the game. Let's go to the second position. So this is the position with white to play. Lot of things going around, both kings are really unsafe, and at first it looks like what will white do. Look at the white position here. The rook on e5 is pinned by the queen here. You should note this relation, very important one. The bishop cannot move because the rook would be hanging, and see, the king cannot move. The moves king h1 and king h3 both lose to queen takes h6. Instantly the position collapses, white gets mated. So white has to use his queen here. White went with the move qg3, very unexpected one. You must have noted this relation here, very important one, d4 to h8, and also the poor placing of the pieces on the dark squares. Lot of things happening on the dark square. So the combination happens on the dark square. So called the color complex theme we are seeing. The combination happens on the same color where lot of things are placed. And now see, big problem. Firstly, see, there is no rook g3 because just see rook e8 is double check and checkmate. So it looks like black has qh6. What big deal? Because now see what will white do. White has only moved queen h3 and black has some problem. See, black cannot move the bishop or the rook because to any rook move or bishop move re8 is still checkmate. But the thing is, after queen h3, black just goes back qd6, challenging white to prove his point. What will white do now? Because see, again qg3, then qh6, it looks like a draw. But if you see the power of finding moves, we will notice that the moves which we have found in our previous consideration, that we can use in the next lines. So here comes the move kh1, which didn't work before. And now what we notice, suddenly the black position C collapses. The big threat is rook e8 mate. Let's look at all the lines. See, if bishop g6, re8 mates on the spot. Of course, if bg7, re8, queen f8, and see rook f8 checkmates. If rook g8, then see still rook e8, queen f6, bf6 mates. And finally, black played the move kg8 in the game, to which see just rook e8 check, kf7. And if you try to apply our methods, ask the simple question, what is the weakness? Two weaknesses, king is wandering and the square h7 is weak. So the hanging rook just goes to h8. See, two threats, rook h7 and queen h7, the main one being qh7 check, king will have to go to e6, and see rook goes to e8 and the game is decided. So of course white won over here, black resigned. Let's go to the next one quickly. This is our third position and somewhat tricky one. White to play and win once again. See, lot is happening in the position. This time you can see there are glaring weaknesses all around. The squares, wherever see I have pointed, the square h6, white is trying to attack with queen and the rook. The rook on d6 is the defender of h6. g1 rook attacks g7. The king and the rook are the main defenders of g7. See, the knight on f4 is ready to move, and see, you must notice here the main point where all the tactics is going to happen is the square g6. As Nimzowitsch pointed out, that a square which is of common interest to both the sides is where the tactic happens. The main exchange will happen over there. So see, the candidate moves bring up themselves. One is C, ng6, bg6 and knight e6 cutting across the d6 rook's path. Okay, so this makes our task somewhat easy. Also rook g7 was to be considered. Only thing is that here after qg7, see, after rook takes g7, queen can just take on g7. So it's of no use. So white first thought of the move knight g6, bg6 and knight g6 are almost similar. So I won't repeat. After fg, pg, bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Now see, there is only rook g6, but after kg6 the king is safe. Next move the king can hide back to h7 and black would be winning. So white looked into the move knight e6 here. After knight e6, see, the main point is this time the move fe6 loses the control on g6, the rook on d6. See, now he is not able to control g6. So what happens? bg6 check, bishop takes, pawn takes, king h8 forced, and you see rook h6 game over. Pawn has to take and queen h6 mates. Let's say black ignores and plays the move knight b4, because see, this time bg6 is of no use, because fg, hg and bg6, nothing happens further. White has the very strong, see the relationship between the pieces here. The h pile is of great importance. Comes knight g5 check. See how the things get settled here. If h takes g5, there is c bg6 mate. Pretty finished. These kind of patterns should be born in our mind. And see, after king h8, there is just see bf7. And f7 was also good, but this is better. It's a double attack. Bishop cannot take because see, the knight jumping to f7 is a family fork, as you can see. Lot of things getting attacked from f7. So after ne6, black tried the move re6, to which f takes c. Now fe6 would allow a lot of exchanges. So black played queen e6, the queen c attacks the rook on h3. So white finds a move which does both. It moves the bishop away with a tempo, protects the rook, and the bishop is eyeing the f5 square. It's game over. After queen moves, bishop f5 check. You can see g6 blunder, qh6 mates on the spot. And after the move king h8, what should white do? All we have to do is ask the question, who is the defender? You will see the queen on d6 is the main defender of h6, and once again white interferes. The rook blocks the queen's attack. There are three threats. See, one is queen into h6. If f6, there is see queen h6 check, pawn takes, rook h6 mates, and if f takes g6, then rook h6, gh, queen h6 once again mates. So after rook g6, black reside because otherwise the queen is hanging. So queen would be lost. Mainly after qg6 if black does that. So this way we are going to continue this series. As I said before, I'll try to make 5 lessons around, and then we will take up difficult lessons. This will help us prepare a base for those lessons. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.